Let's see the problem of the day, see what we got going, guys. All right, it's find the slope and y-intercept of the line 2x plus 5y equaling -10. Once again, find the slope and y-intercept of the line 2x plus 5y equaling to -10. You know what, we're going to play a graph on that in just a minute too. So let's see how this is going to work, all right? I even put up here bonus points today, all right, for graphing the line. We're going to do that also. We're going to get both of those to work for us here. But first of all, the whole point, we have a linear equation here. It has an x and has a y in it, but it's linear, all right? Because when we get y by itself, we're going to find a slope popping out at us as well as the y-intercept. Now, we can figure out the y-intercept without finding slope. We're getting into what we call slope-intercept form. But this is right now standard form, so let's write it down. If you're doing this at home, this would be great. How about it? 2x plus your 5y equaling to that -10. We're going to get y by itself because that's the magic of what we call slope-intercept form, all right? So here we go. We will subtract 2x from both sides. I'm going to push it out there a little bit because we do not want to get confused. We never want to get confused on Mathline. I know that. But over here, these go away, yes, but they got to reappear over here. And because -10 and -2, well, one has an x, one does not. They're not like terms, all right? So we're going to have to write them down separately. I'm going to put the -2x in front, and then we'll subtract 10 from the back, all right? And again, if 10 had an x, we'd put them together and we'd have -12x, but it does not, so please don't make that mistake. That's a careless mistake that we want to avoid, okay? So you can say, well, Ernie, what are we going to do now? Well, we want y by itself, remember. We have isolated, we're going to isolate that variable. It's like a literal equation really here where you have two variables and you're wanting to get one of them by themselves. So let's do this. Let's divide by the 5. Why do we pick divide by 5? Well, first of all, 5 times y. We want to get y by itself, so we're basically going to undo that operation, which is division. But remember, if we divide by 5 on the left, we've got to do it on the right with everybody. Now, I split my little bars out there. A lot of times people just throw one big bar in there and put a 5 there. That's great if you in your mind will remember to do it properly and correctly. But let's see what happens in this case. We're going to have y equals, it looks like a -2/5 x. Is that right? Because we're dividing by the +5, yes. And over here, we can divide -10 by 5 goes evenly. Let's have it -2 right there. Everybody good so far? Now, this is the slope. That is the y-intercept. Well, we just found everything. Well, pretty close, pretty close. Let's use some symbols here. All right, I'm going to put m for slope. That's what we like to use here. And that's going to give us a -2/5. This number that's located next to the x, that is your slope. Now, if you didn't have a number there, it'd be a 1. It could be a -1 or it could be a +1, depending on the sign. But there's still a slope, okay? If there's an x, there's a slope. It's a number that's attached to that x, all right? In this case, we've got it at -2/5. Now, what does that mean? We'll talk about that in a minute when we graph, all right? The intercept out here, it's the y-intercept. That happens when x equals 0. So we're going to put it in coordinate form also. And that's where we're going to start the next part of this, all right? So let's see. We're going to put this onto a piece of graph paper, all right? So let's take this away just a second. And here we are. We also would like to put this onto a graph. Remember I said bonus points for that, so let's take it back to the graph here. All right, looking good here. Got a nice little XY coordinate plane going on here. You say, well, Ernie, what did you have? Well, we had this y equals, what was it, -2/5 x, right? -2. All right, so where do we start with this creature? Where do we start? Well, we pick up right here at 0, -2. Remember, that was our intercept. Our slope is -2/5. All right, those are important things right there. So we got those two things going for us. And let's see what that's going to do for us. What do we actually do with this point that we establish here? This is 0, -2. What does -2/5 tell us to do? Well, it tells us that we're going to use rise over run. Rise or run. Well, a negative rise basically means a drop. All right, so we're going to move down below. We're going to drop 2 and go to the right 5, because that is a positive 5. It's only a negative 2. Only one of these is a negative, all right? The 5 is not negative, so we're going to move it out in this manner. There we go. We can do it again. It looks a little kind of scary there. So let's do this instead. Let's do this instead. Let's go back up 2 and out 5 to the left. You say, well, Ernie, what did you just do about that? What was that about? That was another way to do negative 2/5. I could do positive 2 and a negative 5. Remember, this is a division. This is division. If you've got a positive and a negative, you get a negative fraction, all right? Negative division result. So there we have it. Now, one more thing. Let's connect these 3 points. Right there we go. Right there we go. And let's see what it's going to look like. Straight line looks like to me. Yeah, it said it was linear, didn't we? So there you go. There it happens. And that is another way of writing what we started off with. What? 2x plus 5y equals negative 10. That's the picture of it. That's the representation. And one more, make sure that point showed up there, all right? So, hey, there you go. Good old problem of the day with a little bonus added to it, all right?